bit. It's not hard to drive. It's just that electric things when you turn the throttle on, it kind of jumps. And you gotta kind of get used to that. But probably tomorrow we'll fuck around with it a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, I've been called a lot of names by somebody on here, and it's kind of, and I think I understand where it's coming from. Now, without mentioning any names or anything on here, and I'm going to tell you something, man. Now I understand why the guy calls me a pedophile and everything else. I think I totally understand it. Yeah, it's a guilt complex, is what it is. That's all I'm going to say on that, except other than Jay. Apparently, this guy's upset about Jay. Now, remember, Jay used to be his roommate, knows everything about him. Knows everything about him. And I remember Jay doing a show with Aloe or somebody on there. This is like a long time ago. Don't ask me how long it was. And Jay was pretty much coming out, if I remember correctly. I think it was on Aloe and Popeye or something. I don't know. It was a long time ago. And he was talking about how embarrassed he was to be with this guy because he was checking out all the younger girls. And, you know, this is not my story. Disclaimer, not my story. So I'll put a disclaimer on here. I think I understand what's going on here now. I think I totally understand. I think I totally understand. Now I understand this projecting or whatever. Because what Jay had to say, and what he recently just said on his show that made this other guy very upset. And this is a guy that goes around, you know, calling people pedophiles and chomos and groomers. Well, what about his past? They say the apple don't fall far from the tree. But Jay knows a lot about this particular guy. And he shared it a few times. If I remember, certainly once. And I also found out on my own. Now, that particular assistant of mine had tracked this guy down where he was living once. And I guess he moved out on his rent. And he went there kind of asking around about this guy. And what they said, and I'm not making this shit up, that there was a lot of young girls coming in and out of his place. Disclaimer. Not to my witness. But when this guy went and talked to the landlord, and he had skipped out of this place on the rent. Now the truth is coming. Now I understand. Well, I think I always have. I think I understand everything now. Yeah. I think I understand now. Oh, isn't it raining cats and dogs? It's gotten crazy. I mean, crazier. Well, because he can't shut his mouth. This guy. He can't shut his mouth. And it's just putting him deeper and deeper in doo-doo. I don't get it, man. Who does that? I mean, who does that? Who does that other than him? His vindictive hate campaign against you is never ending. I'll say as I've seen the kid stuff on that Discord, and it's absolutely sick. Judge Kubota says this is a friend of, well, I'm not mentioning no names on here, who we're talking about. It's a friend of somebody. Now I understand completely. It's not the first time I've heard this either. It's not the first time I've heard this. Now I totally understand. I've heard this in many ways, actually. And, you know, it's not something that I really ever really got into on my show. at all. Because there was one point I wasn't sure, but then things started to add up. And then when one of his closest friends and roommates comes out with this shit, and this guy knows everything. He knows everything about him. He's lived with him. From when he dragged this girl out to his kitchen by the hair and about the cigarette burns and all that shit. Wow. I think I totally understand now. I mean, wow. Talk about a messed up dude. You can't get more messed up than that in my books. I don't know about yours, but in my books, I don't think you can get never met anybody that was that messed up in my life. King of Discord. He's seen the Mint's deception firsthand. Apparently so. Now, I didn't even get a chance to really see all of Jay's show, and I'm going to have to go back to that. I've been kind of busy over here, but you know something, it all adds up. It all adds up, and I can understand if this is projection or something, or I'm not sure what to call it. Because I know one thing without being a goddamn psych or anything like that, and I'm learned enough to maybe understand this, is that many times psychologically, people are, ever see people that, did you ever hear of people that punish themselves? Like they'll knock their hand against a wall, or hit their head against a wall, or they'll cut themselves. Yeah, my daughter used to do that. I'm not kidding you. She was kind of messed up. They talk about me. Oh, you don't have a good relationship with your daughter. Man, she drove her husband to bust his fist against a wall. He busted the plaster. Instead of busting her, he busted the plaster. I'm only telling you what happened. I'm not making a certain perception of my child, but so that you understand where I'm coming from and different evaluations people have made on this subject matter of why I don't get along with certain family members. Well, there you go. I don't want to get too deep into it, but now I'm understanding. And what I'm understanding is, in many cases, and I don't need a degree for this, people who have done some really bad shit in their life, they try to deflect. I guess that would be the word, deflect from what they did by kind of lashing out on other people, saying that you're a bad person. You do this with kids. You do this with, well, maybe it's that person that actually did things with kids, and their conscience is so fucked up to have such a guilty conscience that they got to make themselves find some justification, I guess, for what they did by calling somebody else other names. It's the only thing I can figure out from this, man. I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but that's my conclusion on this. Oh, you get it now. The friend saw it, or like the Star Witness, yeah. King of Discourse. This reminds me of what went down at Joey's with the daughter. Yeah, he's got a history, man. The guy that I'm talking about, no names mentioned here, he's got a history of this. Joey's kid, and then what Jay's been saying about him, and this is not new, by the way. This goes back a long time when they were roomies and stuff. Jay had a roommate who happens to be a YouTuber, and Jay spilled a few stories here and there. He certainly did. He said he found himself embarrassed around him because he had this interest in much younger girls, generally below 18, somewhere under that area. But from an associate of mine who was trying to locate and keep track on where this guy lived, he found where he lived. And at that time, he skipped out on the rent. but he got a chance to talk to the landlord in that place and the neighbors. And he lived on the second floor or third, it was the second floor. And he said, they said he skipped out, and they said that a lot of young girls were coming in and out of his room all the time. Now, we're going to put a disclaimer in here. I didn't witness this. I'm just a messenger. And this guy wouldn't lie to me at all about that. In fact, this guy was accompanied, actually, to find the place so he can get served by someone who, let's just say, represents the law, because this associate of mine wanted to show this officer of where he's living. And at that time, I think he had just moved out. Okay, follow me? But my associate had spoke to the people living there, and I think it was the actual landlord. And the landlord said, came out of her mouth, not mine, not my associates, that there were young girls coming in and out of that place all the time. And that's why I laugh when I listen to this guy, and he's calling people pedophiles and you name it. It's deflection. It's deflection. That's exactly what it is. Rain, cats, and dogs. He fell down the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down. I think I finally got it all figured. I mean, I kind of knew this, you know. I kind of held back on ever talking about it on my show. I heard this a long time ago, and I also knew the information about that place he lived and how the young girls coming in and out of his place quite often. I don't mean every 5 minutes. I mean, I'm talking about often. Yeah. And he didn't like the place because some of the kids that lived in the building was just kind of come in his room all the time. He used to leave his door open for to get air circulation in there, apparently. But these kids would just kind of walk in there, and he didn't like that. I remember hearing that. How interesting these facts come up, huh, folks? I think maybe now you understand why he's calling these very special names to somebody. He's deflecting from things that possibly he has done. And he's goofy enough to do that shit. He's sick enough to do that shit. Now I understand. Now I understand completely. Completely. Now he's waging war on Jay, because Jay came out with a few things that he didn't like to hear. He's waging war with everyone now. And he's knocking people off his channel left and right when all they want to do is just have their word. I mean, nobody could come. I mean, I've knocked people off my channel. I'm not new at that. In the past, I did a lot of that shit for good reason. But what he's doing with people is that if they don't, it's his way or the highway. If they don't agree with his train of thought on anything, or if they try to pose the truth to him, to say, look, dude, what you're doing is wrong. I mean, you're not helping yourself out, right? He didn't want to hear that. Or, oh no, you go on his channel, so I'm gonna block you. And oh man, it's just all hitting me now. I mean, this is not new to me. This is not new. I'm gonna make sure know that it's not new to me. But now it's, since Jay started talking about this shit again, in so many ways, it's just all coming back to me now. It's all coming back to me. Jay really irritated by someone saying you could see me in detention. Jay would kick his ass from here to eternity. The only thing Jay ever said about the guy was that when he's drunk and in a bar, that he becomes a madman. That might that's probably why he got what sounds like a bottle busted on his head. There seems to be the thing out here. I've heard another case of that where somebody busted a beer bottle on somebody's head at the bar. That seems to be the thing, I guess. Stefan, how are you, man? Remember that video when, let's not mention names on here because who says I'm talking about that person? Remember the video when someone had that young girl on and she was smoking? Absolutely. And he asked her, do you have any friends and bring them over so we could all have fun? And he's accusing other people. Amazing. I still have it. I still have it. And she was young. And you know, this guy talks about me and what he's calling me. But yet that chick was underage. I don't care. I asked my lady about that. And she's Filipino and she could recognize age. And she said, no, that girl's got to be definitely under 18 years old. She would not be over 18 or above. No way. Well, it's because she's smoking a cigarette doesn't mean that she's older. You know, she's bad taste and habits or whatever. But oh, yeah. And I remember when he asked that, do you have any more of your friends? We could come over and have some fun on the weekend. I absolutely do remember that. Is it all coming together now, folks? You think we just figured this out? Well, I figured this out a long time ago, really. But are you people now kind of enlightened as to what's really going on? To say that girl was 15 is being, no, she was, no, she was probably about 16 years old. She looked really young. She had the young girl's kind of big hair, you know, and trying to look grown up with the cigarette and whatever. Yeah, it was amazing what he asked her. Oh, how could I forget that video? I still have it. How could you forget that video? Comes right out like an idiot he is. Comes right out and says, do you have any friends? And then she kind of looks at him funny. She goes, lots. I remember her words. She goes, lots. Well, why don't you try to get your friends together? We'll get together. We'll have some fun. Yeah, it all makes sense now, Raining Cats and Dogs. It all makes sense now. It's all come together now. I mean, look, like I said, this is not anything really new as far as what I know, or certainly have been told by people very close to him and from people that have rented to him. I've known this for a while, but when Jay did his show today and he was mad at Jay and threatening him and all that shit, it all came back to me. It all came back to me. I thought about that video with the girl and you got any friends? Let's have some fun. I thought about the place he lived where the landlord said he had these young girls coming quite often in and out of his place. I thought about what Jay said in the past, and he said a lot of things on some shows in regards to the other guy. It all comes together now. That's what it is, guys. It also has to do with his upbringing and what happened to him, which he absolutely admitted. No disclaimer needed for that, because he did admit that there was some incestual kind of shit that was going on in the family that all came out of his mouth. Okay? Didn't come out of mine. It came out of his mouth. Now I understand. I understand. I mean, I'm not forgiving, but I understand. That is the worst kind of person. And to think that that person was calling someone else a pedophile and a child molester and a groomer when his past is quite checkered. Imagine that. Now we understand. Wow. Drew is really on the outs with his former friends. Listen to this gossip. I was listening to Ricky's show earlier. And everybody just comes in there and they're talking about every YouTuber you could think about and finding fault with somebody. That's why I'm glad that my illustrious career is soon coming to an end. It's going to be. I know when it's going to happen. Let's not even talk about it. But it's one big madhouse, is what it is. Everybody attacking each other. Yeah, I remember the stories with Joey. I most certainly do. It was after Joey's daughter, man. Joey kicked him the fuck out of his life. He was hitting on young girls and shit. And Joey, everybody knows about that. I'm glad you brought it up. About Joey's daughter. Wow. May I ask the status of your BI complaint? No, I can't discuss that. Oh, you're missing a lot, Jerry. We pretty much established why a certain individual likes to call people certain names. Yeah, we've pretty much put it together. We understand why now. You have to listen to Jay's show, and you have to know about Joey in the past. You have to know about a place he used to live where the landlord had told an associate of mine that a lot of underage girls were coming in and out of his room. I don't think he's on YouTube. Uncle Fester Joey, can't forget him. Quite a character. I think it's called deflection. When you have done something really wrong and you could be very upset with yourself over what you did, but you can't deny what you did. And then you want to be a big advocate, to be an advocate for child abuse. Yeah, these are the people that are advocates. You know, they stand for anti-child abuse when perhaps these people are doing it themselves. We all figured it out on this show tonight. Now we know now. We understand now. Joey not on YouTube, but BK. God, BK. I remember that guy with the accent, and he was buying jewelry and all kinds of shit for his girls, and they were rejecting him left and right. I remember that guy. Yeah. But this is what's going on, man. I am 100% convinced. Okay, look at the facts. Let's go examine them together. You know what happened with Joey? A friend of mine who found out where he lived and what was going on there. The fact that he has publicly, I have to state, publicly admitted that there was a little incestual shit going on, funny stuff going on between him and some family member. Okay, put two and two together there. Okay, and then his time living in Cebu, God only knows how many young girls. God only knows. And Jay was the one to spill the beans a little bit here. Although he's done that in the past, he made some references on one of his last shows that really upset the other guy. So that other guy is attacking Jay now. Remember, Jay was one of the closest people that this guy knew, a roomie. Keep that in mind. He knew everything that was going on. King of Discord says you're spot on. His sole purpose for being in the Philippines is becoming very clear. Hey, I'm convinced of it, and none of you all are going to convince me otherwise. Plus, we all know someone who screams the loudest about something is guilty of it. You got that right. Because, he's pushing this shit all the time, trying to tell people, I hate people that diddle with kids and this and that and this and that, and then he's screaming over a thing about a song about the word pee-pee. I mean, it's like, what the fuck? And it's like he's trying to make excuses. Maybe perhaps his own actions. And he's deflecting, I guess that's the right word from it, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he's kind of deflecting from the things that he's done. In other words, he's trying to be the poster child, I'm trying to say, of anti-children abuse. The poster child. This is the guy that was on the internet. It was announced that it had a thing about to support St. Jude's Hospital for the kids. That is fucking bald head picture on there. A little flesh. They said, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, trying to get donations for a phony fund." It's like something Peter Vandever used to do, man. King of Discourse says, "I remember Jay having epilepsy convulsions and the other guy digging in his pockets on a live stream." Well, I talked to Jay about that. I'm not sure. I mean, I wouldn't put it past the other guy to do that. I didn't even know if he was even helping Jay, helping himself to his pockets. But Jay, either out of embarrassment or something, when I spoke to him on the phone, he kind of denied that ever happened, that any money was taken off him. So I don't know what to believe on that. So let's make it real. If I don't know for sure, I'm not going to say that particular thing happened. But on the other thing, the math adds up. It finally just adds up. Now I'm 100% certain. Now I'm 100%. In reality, he doesn't give a flying about that family. What a joke he is. Ah, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Why am I on here? I got to ask myself that question all the time. But the reason I am, because I heard the other guy's show earlier. I was busy with some other shit. I never even knew he had a show on. And he was attacking Jay left and right. You know, trying to threaten Jay and all that. And like he normally does to everybody with his mouth. Amazing. Yeah, Jay knows a lot of stories. Jay may not admit everything, but Jay, I've talked to him on the phone before in the past number of times. We talked about a few things. And I remember Jay did say to me, and I won't say any more than what he said than this, is that he used to get really embarrassed around the other guy because he'd find himself around these underage chicks and what his taste was in women and how young they were. That bothered Jay a lot. I don't think Jay has to go after any ones that young. He likes them young, but I don't think Jay is going to go for kiddies. And I don't mean the purring kiddies. I don't think Jay would do that, my opinion. But Jay has spoken about this a number of times, actually, in history, historically speaking. Oh, yeah, the Marawi earthquake fund, too. That was another one. That was another one. He cared so much about the victims in the earthquake, but he cared so much that he tried to get a campaign to raise money for that. So that was that, and it was St. Jude. What a piece of shit this guy is, my God. What a fucking piece of shit. Does somebody like this really exist? Well, apparently so. Oh my God. Whatever's coming to this guy, I just hope it's big and strong and get all this shit over with him, man, because it has to come to a head. You know what I mean? Yeah. He leaves a trail of destruction everywhere he goes, says Raining Cats and Dogs. That's very true, sir. He's tried to destroy so many people's lives. For the first time he's ever hit the Philippines, he already ruined a chick's life. And then it went on from there. Use and abuse, use and abuse, use and abuse, use and abuse. It gets to a point now, and I'm going to be really honest with you, because even my girlfriend doesn't want to hear it no more. It gets to a point, I'll be honest. I check to see if he has a show on, and I'll listen to maybe 5 minutes of it, and it seems like a repeat of the last show he put on before that. It was the same thing, going on the attack, calling the same name. And this is a guy who he's really not in the best situation in his world. Let's put it that way. And yet he does things that, and I don't understand about his girlfriend. Why isn't she trying to straighten him out and smack him in the face or something and say, wake up. If we're going to have a future, you got to stop this kind of shit, man. If you really love me, you got to stop this shit. How are we going to ever have plans to be together if you're constantly attacking the other guy and you're saying things right on your show and you got 5 charges against you? I wonder if she does that at all. I don't know. Oh my God. Oh, Stefan says, I'm sorry, I've been reading my comments here. Plus, there's a video where he walked off camera, went into back room and hit that Filipina. That's when he was living with Jay. Yes, it was. Then he said that's how you deal with it. Wow. Clint Anson says, yeah, I beat the shit out of my wife. I sure did. Yep, he said that too on his phone. So how can this guy talk about anybody else? King of Disco says, don't forget to dent your GoFundMe. Yeah, I gave $20 for that. Could you believe that? I donated $20 and it went to a bottle of fucking booze, man. There is no one more foul-mouthed individual on you. No, there isn't. I don't know. He seems to be under this really weird-ass impression that the more he runs his mouth and says horrible things, that somehow, some way, it's going to make his situation better, which obviously it's the opposite. So there's absolutely something wrong with this guy. I can't analyze him. I don't have that pedigree. But, as a kind of an average dude, I can make my own assessments as to a person's psychology. It doesn't take that much. This guy is out of his fucking gourd, man. He is like the most volatile YouTuber in the history of any of the time that I personally have been on YouTube. And I've come into all kinds of people. This guy even surpasses our good friend that voluntarily went back to America, PDV. He surpasses him by a landslide in character and so forth. You don't think the motorcycle was his? Well, he don't own it now, that's for sure. Nah, his chick bought it, Put the money down on it. It's under her name and everything else. So he told everybody it was his motorcycle. So look, man, it's not a contest. When I hear Frank winning, it sounds like it's on Ricky's show. Ricky winning. I'm not trying to enter any kind of a contest at all. It's not the purpose of all this. But it's all clear now. It's all clear. I get it now. Sometimes I scratch my head and say, why would he take such a chance and call people these kind of names? To him, it's just words. Hurt your feelings. Sick, man. Really sick shit. Now I understand. Am I using the right word? Is it deflection? When you do something really wrong and then you kind of feel guilty of it and you have to tell everybody else that they're doing wrong to make yourself feel better. Would that be deflection? I want to find the right word for this. Well, I need some glasses. I do got it. Okay, you need to watch the. Here I can see he's the lawyer. Oh, watch the film. Okay, and he's the lawyer in it. Okay, yeah, and that's kind of like. I mean, I kind of understood about the background of the person. I kind of understood about that. Um, and I was piecing it together. And I've always known that because, he said it himself, but then he'll deny things like he didn't beat up his wife, but he said that he did. He got 6 months in jail for it. We've heard that many times. It's not something I'm making up. It's something he actually said. So he can't try to throw that back in the closet because it's already out of the closet. Okay. And all that stuff, Joey and everything that went down. He's admitted, beating up his wife 6 months. Then he'd come back and deny he ever did anything. I never beat up a woman or anything. How about when he was living with Jay, when he's dragging this chick out by her hair or something out of the bedroom. And you're right, he said, this is the way you do it. Have you guys ever known anybody in his caliber? Honest question. Has anybody out there ever witnessed anything like this in your life? I haven't. I could tell you that. I have not. Nice e-bike, Frank. Your photo made it on Discord. All right. Fearless in his new vehicle, ready to take the family on vacation. I'm not really for these things, to be honest. I'm not really, for any transportation, but, she wanted it. She bought it. She's the one that bought it. She's not broke. She bought it because she was thinking about this for a long time. We happened to go to Bantine because I had to get a lab test. I wanted to check out who you're at. Do with the prostate that's causing any problems. He said it was anything. It's muscular on either side. It's the way my making fun about the ants. Let me tell you. Now I understand why I had a welt on my forehead and under my baggy eyes. The drawer that's in this little dresser, right? I don't know where the ants came from, but they were in there, and Gina pointed it out earlier. We cleaned it out. How they got on my bed, I don't know, but they found a way. I'm saying, fuck, man. And these things, they go for electronics. They go. Now people are making jokes, or Ricky's making jokes. I bought this house on an anthill or something. I don't know what the fuck. No, it's a good house, man. Hey, this is called the Philippines, my friends. You're gonna get bugs, whether you like it or not, man. The great thing about here is I never get any, or rarely ever see any cockroaches in here. I hate those motherfuckers, man, with a passion. But there are ants everywhere. You're not going to get rid of them. You have to constantly fumigate. They get into everything. You try your glasses and cups, you might find them going for moisture on there near your sink. Don't need a rhyme or reason. They're there. Don't need a rhyme or reason. They're there. They're everywhere. The newest homes, the oldest homes, ants are part of the Philippines, and so is a lot of other kind of bugs. So when people make stupid comments about, you know, guy bought a house full of ants, well, guess what? There ain't nobody out here that don't experience ants. You could live in a fucking condo on the 25th floor, you'll find ants. I mean, they just make their way. But more so, These condo buildings, you'll find roaches more than ants. Okay. I'm going to grab my freaking reading glasses because I don't use them very often. People say I make typos all the time. Well, I do. But the reason I do is because I don't bother to put my glasses on sometimes. That's why. It's not that I can't type or anything. It's just that I'm not wearing my reading glasses, which I'm going to get right now. Where's my good glasses? That's not them. No. I got two pairs here. One's a store-bought, one is prescription. And my prescription glasses they're actually bifocals, really, but they're kind of a bitch. If you're watching TV with that, you got to tilt your head down or tilt your head up in order to get the right. Now, where is my glasses? I could use these pieces of shits, these readers, for now. I could use that. Just so I could read people's comments on here because I can't really. My eyes go in it. I got what you call it astigmatism in my right eye. And that really can't correct. It means that your eye, instead of being certain spherical, is kind of a little bit off. And the only way you can correct that is like, with glasses and stuff like that. Now I can see the comments. Brain Damage says that trolls on Discord say he is suffering from auditory hallucinations when he has delusions. You called his girlfriend a certain word. Obviously, that never happened. King of Discord says in his last live, you can hear the new prisoner is yelling at him to stop being so loud. Yeah, I know he hesitated at some point. I guess apparently somebody else is in there now. Am I correct? Right? And he's always yelling into his phone. But one of the reasons what he does is he knows he's not supposed to be using his phone for the purpose he's using it for. And if he hears, a guard coming up the stairs, he's on the third floor, then he'll say, people, okay, hold on a minute, folks. And then he waits until the guard goes away. Then he goes back. He goes back on his phone again. His last life, you can hear the new prisoner is yelling at him to stop being so loud and stop yelling. Really? I don't think I got that part. Brain Damage says, a King of Discord, that the new Indian prisoner can be heard telling Balma to shut the fuck up. Well, wait a minute now. I remember him saying that he has an Indian guy from Bohol that was coming to visit him. Now it turns out that this guy is wind up being a prisoner like him. He made it sound like he had a friend from Bohol, and he said it was an Indian guy that was coming to visit him. But in fact, it was somebody else that was going to occupy one of the cells. Is it cutting out right now? Yes, a Bombay Indian guy is there. But he was making it sound like he had a friend or someone he knew from Bohol that was coming to visit him. That's funny, man. Now, I don't think that guy's going to put up with him. Guarantee tell you. I don't think that guy's going to put up with his shit, yelling on the phone all the time. You got to understand, the guy is feeling bad enough that he has to be in that shit place. Just like if I was in that shit place, and hopefully that never happens, I wouldn't put up with his shit. Guarantee tell you that. A friend, LOL, the king of lies. I'm hearing this story now, Uncle Jesse, I hate to be the gossip channel now, but since I'm doing a show, what the fuck? So apparently Uncle Jesse ran away from some neighbors that he was complaining about that were playing music night and day and night. His story, maybe it is just a story or the way he wants to tell it anyway. is that he went over there and told them they got to keep that music down. Yeah, good luck with that in the Philippines. But what I don't understand is, wasn't Jesse building this house he's living in? Didn't he own that property, or did his girlfriend's family? You remember he was fixing it up? So he got so scared that he had to move out of the place. Well, it's a good thing he did that, because for several reasons. Because the place he's renting now is a lot more livable than what he was living in with his young girlfriend. Another overstayer, huh? And they got a lot to share and talk about. It doesn't sound like this guy's going to put up with his shit, so that's going to be interesting to self. Imagine if I was his mate, and I don't want to really try to imagine that, but imagine if I was in there for a set period of time, and he was still there. Oh, that would make for some interesting stories. Let's just put it that way, mildly. Oh yeah, I don't think that guy's going to put up with his shit. Middle of the night doing shows, and did they put him on the same floor as him, or is he on another? He must be on the same floor, upstairs. Wow. Half the time you can't even understand his shows. I mean, my signal breaks up, and only, and I do have a good system, I got the Space Link thing, It's the best system you can get out here. But there is a dead spot in the back of my house. I don't know why. It is a dead spot. So they make jokes about, yeah, Frank's $1.99 a month, Popeye with his Frank's $1.99 internet. I got one of the better internets that's available in the Philippines, and I'm paying for it. It is good, but it just so happens the back of the house, okay, there's a dead spot. There's an absolute dead spot. I'm sure it's fine now, yeah. Brain Damage says, trolls are saying that this guy is renting to only electric outlet to the Indian. He's renting the only electric. Trolls are saying that he's saying is renting the only electrical outlet to the Indian for $500 a day. That wouldn't put. I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put it past him at all. No, I wouldn't. I would not put that past him at all. So they don't have outlets in there in all these rooms? That's amazing. That place should have been demolished 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I've seen the videos of it, and yeah, it's not a nice place. Certainly not a place I'd like to be. It's not very nice at all. But holy shit, it's that bad. Well, the guy's only right about one thing. He's not right about anything. That the living conditions there are not made for humans or any animal. But maybe it's made for him. Because actually, when you think about it, it's probably one of the better places he's ever lived, when you really think about it. I mean, when has he ever had a better place than that? Come on, man. Free rent, access to electricity, coffee pot, coffee maker, heats up his water to make coffee. And, well, no, now he's got the coffee. Someone donated it to him, apparently. I think it's a fine place for him. Clint Anson says, still a step up from the crematorium that he used to live in. Yeah, that is a step up from the crematorium. I will say that myself. It is. It's a step up. Now, folks, now I totally get it. But it's like I said, it's not like I never got it before. But like when I really spend time thinking about this now and thinking about what Jay had to say in the past and what Jay's saying now, I'm convinced. I'm 100% convinced. Now we know where these outbursts come from and why. He wants to make somebody look just as bad as he is. The things that he has done, that he has a guilt complex over. So he wants to be the poster child of he wants to be anti-child abuse of all people. The poster child for anti-child abuse. Wow. Oh, sometimes you think you hear it all, but then you don't. Then something else comes up, and it's just amazing. Now I totally understand. I get it. I think everybody's getting it now. Oh my goodness. I've honestly never met anyone like him, experienced anything like this. I mean, maybe on some quirky TV show or something, you see some psychotic character, but I never really got to. I've met mentally challenged people. I grew up with one, Bobby, when I was growing up, but I've never really experienced an actual psychopath. Not really. I mean, I've seen them on TV, but well, actually, there was a chick I met in Seattle who was a fucking psychopath. Other than that, I could not think of anyone that I have met that actually behaved in his mannerism. Bob Mello. Hello, Bob. How you doing? Yeah, I've been doing, I haven't been completely off here. No. It's getting there, but you'll know. You'll know when I know. I have my reasons. My reasons and my seasons. Have you and this ever had a panel show together? No. No, I never have. With the guy that you're talking about? But fucking A, I gotta say it again. Now I just completely understand. I did all my math, and I've done the math in the past and kind of figured something out to be true with that. But now that Jay said a few more things and my memory's coming back with all this now, with the young girl he was with, and he wanted her to bring her friends and party with her. And this girl was underage for 100% for sure. And everything else that happened with Joey's daughter. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. I get it. I get it. Oh, he's going to be in a foul mood tonight. But now he's got a roommate over there now that ain't going to put up with his shit. This is great stuff. This is just great stuff. And by the way, in reference to him reading a memorandum online, that wasn't a great idea. And the associate of my attorney, they're both my attorneys, actually, Alan and Sunday, they're both my attorneys. And he made a copy of that. He put it on a disc. I told him about it and he requested. I said, okay, I'll share the link with you. And he got it and he made a copy of it. Because what he had to say in there, he was reading the memorandum, which is not supposed to be broadcast. And he did the same thing with the charge sheet, that was not supposed to be, especially before my attorney or myself ever received it. So he started reading this memorandum on there, and every time it came to something that had to do with him, he goes, "How am I involved in this?" Well, he's the reason it started a complaint against me from his girlfriend. Laughing and denying everything that was on there, but it was all truth. You remember, of course, he's saying that I called his girlfriend a whore and a prostitute. Well, we certainly disproved that, because all he came up with was this short. He built everybody up to this. So he's going to play it, and he did. And all it was, nobody was calling anybody a whore. Nobody was calling anybody a prostitute at all. It had to do with conjugal visits, and there's nothing wrong with talking about that, because that does exist in the penal system out here and in America. Nobody ever called his girlfriend those names. That's why he can't push it anymore, but he still actually does. "Oh, I know I'm mad at you and I'm in jail, and you call my girlfriend a prostitute and a whore. You did do it. You did do it." No, I didn't. I didn't do it. I just never said that at all. Yeah, Stefan says too. Everybody's saying that now. It all adds up now with him. It does. Stefan says, "I wonder if he sometimes reflects back on what he did and knows it was wrong, but knowing him, probably not." Yeah, probably not. Brain Damage says the Indian told him to shut the fuck up during the 2. Is it on there? So that would be couple of streams ago. Wow. This is getting beautiful, man. He's making such a fool of himself on his show. I'm thinking, what does this girlfriend think about this? I mean, come on. You can only take so much from somebody to be, like, could be your wife, husband, boy, whatever. How much could you take from another person? When does somebody's eyes and ears open up and their brain, the neurons functioning, the gray matter, working with each other, and wake up and say, "Damn, did I make a fucking mistake?" Why isn't that happening? I don't get it. I know nobody else gets it either. There's something to this. There's some kind of obligation of some sort. I don't know. To the family, to her family, from him. I don't know. But I can't figure it out. And I tried. I have an idea, but I won't discuss that. But other than that, to the average layperson out there who would see this situation, they'd say to themselves, "I don't get it. Why is she with him when there's no future? All he talks about, I'm getting out of here soon. I'm going to be deported. I'm going to plead guilty in court." No, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not. And he will be in court. He's not going to not show up. He'll be there. He'll be there. Remember, when his mouth moves, he's lying. Trolls are saying that he's suffering from auditory hallucinations. You the second one that said that, or was that what you said earlier? Trolls are saying he's suffering from auditory hallucinations, imagining you said the W word. Well, I don't know what's going on with his brain, but it's not anything good. Everybody knows. Shit, you know more stuff about what I do on here than I do. If I ever called to those words, that would have been replayed and replayed and replayed and replayed and replayed for years. But because I never said those words about her, that's why you don't hear it, because it doesn't exist. Dennis comes in on this. Hello, Dennis Albright. Remember his live birthday stream where he asked that high school girl if she wanted to ride on his motorcycle to his place? She told them to go away. She was uncomfortable. I'm trying to remember that. See, I could easily just agree with you and say, yeah, I remember that, but I don't remember that. I'll take your word for it, though. The one thing I do remember is that there was one where he was going to take a trike, and this chick, I don't know, I don't know what he said to her, but she kind of looked at him. He was on the trike, and the trike was going to pick her up on there too. And she looked at him, and he said something to her, and she decided she just did not want to be on that trike with him. I remember that. Wow. Do you realize, guys, this gets really deep. There's a real deep story behind this guy. Everything with him is sex. Everything's about dicks. Makes me wonder whether he goes both ways, because he sure likes to talk about dicks and cum sucking. Oh, cum guzzling, that's his word. Something to this? Yeah, I bet there is. I bet you. I bet you there is. This guy, again, by his own demonstration, sounds like a real deviant. Oh, that was the trike video. Oh, yeah, that was the trike video. Oh, that was the other one. That was the trike video. Yeah, that's the other one with the high school girl. If she wanted to ride on his motorcycle to his place, and she told him to go away. She was very uncomfortable about it. Just like, you remember where Cliffy, when he used to visit Cliffy, there is a restaurant you could just walk to. It's that close. And there was this chick that was in the restaurant. She's just new in town. She's Filipina. And just wanted to have a lunch. And he kept on asking her to come out with him and have a drink. And he kept on bothering her and bothering her. So basically, the owner of the place saw what was going on. And she kind of walked her out to her place. She didn't feel comfortable walking home after that, because he was like really persistent on her coming with him and have a drink. I guess he gets really pushy with the women. Dennis Albright says, brain damage. No, not that one, but I know which one you're talking about. Okay, I think I know what you mean. God, let me tell you guys that there's so many stories with this guy. He's like something that out of a horror movie or something, man. Who would think that one guy could be like this? He's got some serious problems, man. Dennis Albright says, hey, brain damage, there was a bar. The lady that worked there, and, she had a teenage daughter. He was doing a live birthday stream. Yeah, I don't remember that one myself. But, Joey's daughter, and then the list goes on and on and on with this guy. How does he live with himself? I truly mean it. I hope the judge gives him everything that's for each charge, at least a couple of years for each charge. And even if he only gave him 6 months and 1 day for each charge, that's over 30 months. Okay. That's over 30 months. He's got to get something. He's got to get something for me to be ultra happy. Understand something too. No matter what happens to him, he will never change. It'll never happen. He will never learn. He doesn't have the capability of doing so, of changing for the best in any form, in any way. He doesn't. He's got some serious problems, man. He's not exactly the best boyfriend for any woman, that's for damn sure. I feel sorry for any woman that was involved with him. And he's proven from his own history that we're all aware of, his relationships with women and what happened and how they were all used for money. They all had to have an income or a job, whether it was a sorry store or whatever they had going for themselves. There was several of them that had sorry stores, or a couple I know anyway. Sheila, originally the first girl he met when he came in. One worked at 7-Eleven, the Romblon situation. I'm telling you guys, I've never, ever And I'm not saying this easily. I mean, I'm saying to you that I honestly have never in my entire life ever, and I've met all kinds of people in different places. I've never come across this kind of psychology with anyone, man or woman. I have never experienced anything like this in my life. Never, ever. I kind of look at it this way: let him put on his shows. It works for me, and it's been working very well so far, if you know what I mean. It just goes to prove that he has to have the last word and he can't stop. He'll be doing a show after mine if he ain't doing it already. I'll guarantee you tonight he'll do a show. But he better watch his voice because his Indian shit off him. I love that if something happens. That would be fantastic. Hey guys, you've been very good in the dialogue tonight, and I really appreciate that. I want to thank you for showing up here. We all understand what's going on now. I think every single one of us on here has concurred that, we now understand the underlying reasons why he does this kind of stuff. He's living with a hell of a lot of guilt in his life for things that were really deviant and stuff that he's done. It's never been clear. It's never been clearer to me more tonight. Now that we started discussing this, and Jay started talking about a few things, and it's all come to me like an epiphany. It's all come to me. I understand completely now where he's coming from. How does he live with himself? That's all I want to know. How the hell does he live with himself? I don't get it, man. I mean, I got it now, but I mean, I don't get. Maybe he doesn't live with himself because he'll do shows at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And by the way, I don't get up at 3:30 every morning. I got up at 3:30. I made a show later on, or a recording or something. No, generally I'm 5:30 and I'm up. That's my norm. But no, waking up at 3:30 had to be a reason. And I had some kind of a bug bite on my forehead, still partially there and under my right eye. So I took an antihistamine. It still hasn't fully gone yet. But then it makes sense. The dresser, it's a little dresser on the side of my bed, had a whole shitload of ants inside of it. I don't know what they were doing in there. There's nothing that's edible in there. But they come out of everywhere. The electronics, they just love that shit hiding inside of your laptop, whatever it might be. And I think that's what happened. These tiny little ants have a bite. Them little son of a bitches have a bite. I mean, rots in jail. Yeah, I hope so too, Dennis. I hope so too. If anybody's deserving of that, that would be him. He's got to be able to understand that. His belief in freedom of rights, freedom of speech. It all sounds good on paper, but it's not the way it is. The truth is, you can't say things like that he says, but you tell that to him, and he'll tell you the opposite. I'm American. I can say what I want. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Go up to the North Korean leader and call him a name and see what happens to you. Why don't you do that? The greatest one. The commissioner came down to see him personally. Who buys that story? You can't even reach a government official if you had to. And a government official is going to come all the way from Manila to come to his cell to come and talk to him. And what did they accomplish? Nothing. Talk about a chronic fucking liar. Yeah. Did you hear his show? He said the commissioner of immigration came all the way down to see him in his cell. Oh my God. What do you think his disability is? You think it's really physical? I'm convinced it's not physical. All right, guys. Thank you for showing up and thanks for the wonderful dialogue. I think we've all figured it out. Finally. I think every one of us had the idea about this, but I think we've all put our heads together tonight. We figured this whole thing out, where this all this hate is coming from and all this guilt. That's what it is. We figured it out. Like we never really knew that, but it's fun.
All right, there you go. Another action-packed, filled Frank. Oh my God. Okay, so what did we learn? Okay, Jay said it, so it's the gospel. It's all true. Uh, he's in the Discord and looking at these videos. Jay's turning around and saying, I have the screenshots. But so if you're all in this Discord and you're taking screenshots and you're looking at these videos, well, I guess you're part of it. You know what I mean? I mean, come on, get real. Here's another thing he forgets. He forgets how he molested Nika in the wheelchair. Hmm. He forgets how he called Sheila a whore, a Filipina. Eh? He did all this shit while on not on American soil, but on Philippine soil. So the guy is just as bad as Barry. Right? And it's not called deflecting. Let's get let's get things straight here. It's called projecting. Right? And what projecting means, Frank, is you're telling everybody that Barry is a pedophile when in fact you are. That's projecting. Barry projects, you project, Jay projects. You all do a really bang up job of doing that. Right? And as you can see, again, video unavailable. Oh my. Video unavailable. Video unavailable. How nice. How can Frank be a pedophile? He's so damn handsome. Oh man. I I don't get this guy. I and I said it yesterday after his live stream, so I'll say it again. It doesn't matter what she can prove. This is a BI complaint. Your ass is in the meat grinder, Frank. Get used to it. Okay? And this is not a court of law. This is the Bureau of Immigration. They read what she said, and they're going to read what you said. And they're going to make a determination, Frank. You don't get to really rebuttal. You have no action to take afterwards. This is not the judicial system. This is the Bureau of Immigration, and they're going to decide whether you're an undesirable or not. And I would say right about now, there's a 90% chance, Frank, after Christmas, or maybe even before Christmas, your ass is going home. Philippines is going to be saying, bye bye, you. Have a nice day. We don't want you here. Okay? So you could do all that you want to do. The BI decision will be final. Exactly, Claire. It will. The BI decision will be final. You have no control. You have no power. Just like Barry has no control, no power. Two shitbirds going to be thrown out of the Philippines. That's what's going to happen. And you can come on YouTube all you want, say Barry did this, Barry did that. It don't it doesn't mean a flying fuck. It don't mean anything. You're fucking screwed. She put the complaint in against you. You can cry all you want that Barry put her up to her. It doesn't matter. The complaint is in. Your affidavit is in. You're fucking screwed. Accept your fate, Frank. You can come on morning and evening every day, and it's not going to change the fact that you have a charge sheet on you, and soon BI is going to make a determination whether you should leave the country or not. That's the realization you should get used to. You mean a man who files thousands of complaints and a lawsuit is considered undesirable? uh, they will blame each other for their own misfortune. Can't wait to hear it. Exactly. Exactly. And they, in the background, all these guys are turning on each other. Jay has turned on, Drew Naughty. He's turned on Richard Jarrett, aka Dipshit Travel. They've all turned on each other. So what do you do with that? They're all going down the fucking tubes. And that concludes my show or live stream for the day. If he goes live again, I look forward to seeing you all come in again. It's been great. This is Popeye One live stream. Popeye One out.